Metropolitan Government of Nashville. I welcome you, and we've got several reports today. We don't have action items on our agenda, but we have a lot to talk about, and we will. We'll call your attention to the appeals policy for this Metro meeting. It's at the bottom of the agenda, and if you should need to go there. And then I want to thank the Predators once more for providing refreshments and inviting us to use their facilities. We got all kinds of elbow room this morning up here.
Watch out.
And we're going to go on the minutes. We've had someone that's asked a question about one of the points that's mentioned in the minutes, and we'd like to have an opportunity for the staff to go back and review the tapes and see if there needs to be a correction. So I would suggest that we defer the minutes this meeting and present them at the next meeting and ask for approval there, and also clarify the change that one of our members has said that is indicated. She interpreted it a little bit different than the way we have it. So we'll be have Toby and Monica check that out. Is it okay with you if we defer them this meeting? I think it's a consensus of the group that we do that. And we'll move right into our executive director's report. I tell you, he and Monica have been working long and hard. I don't think they've been able to slow down since Toby joined us. Keeping you busy, right?
We are indeed busy, Chairman. Thank you so much, and you're always kind to give us accolades. It's very nice. So your packet today is considerably thinner than it was a month ago, probably by about a pound or two. So. If I may, tab 1 is the minutes of the meeting that we have already deferred. Tab 2 is a written executive director's report, and tab 3 is the audit that will be presented shortly by Brasher and his team from Stewart Logistics. The audit was conducted by Kraft CPAs, and Christina Kirby is here this morning to join us. Very quickly, a few updates on the previous month and kind of a snapshot of where we're going in the coming months. The bond sale was successful. Margaret and her team and Rich, who were missing. It's very unfortunate that Rich is not here with us today. Yeah, you know, we need to make sure that that's in the minutes that Rich missed a meeting. But the bond sale was conducted, and we plan to begin the closing proceedings this following week. We had an interest rate on the bonds of 4.1%, and we will achieve an approximate savings of about $1 million. To the ice hockey facility, all of the legislation so far has gone well in the Metro Council. We had 2 pieces of legislation passed at the August 6th Metro Council meeting. We have one more piece of legislation, BL 2013-518, which is the ground lease between Metro General Government and the Sports Authority, that will pass third and final reading on August 20th. That's this coming Tuesday. Should be no issues with that. And with that piece of legislation, it will conclude the items that will be before the council pertaining to this particular facility. That will in turn allow us to begin the process of working on the lease with the Predators and Mid-South Ice LLC. The construction update, we will begin getting a regular update from General Services. Rick Moore is our project manager from Metro General Services, who will be doing the construction piece and working with us. We've had several successful meetings so far, and we will be getting much more detailed information in the coming months. I'll be providing to you guys periodic updates just by email of where we are in that process, and you will get to see some final numbers and final packages in the next meeting or two as those kind of things really kind of come together. We've been very fortunate that the team has been very quick in the design process so far. Patrick Holcomb is here today. He's going to provide us an update on the south entrance of the Bridgestone Arena. And I've also outlined in my report to you guys a few pieces of the parking audit that Prasher will present. I just want to publicly say that working with Stewart Parking has been outstanding. It's been a great year. As I've joined the team, I've really felt like they've been really partnered with us in a very productive way, and as you guys will see, the audit has no significant findings. Sean, when he joins us, will also update us on the SIF fund, and so today I think his intention is to really go over where are we so far in this part of the year up through fiscal year 2013, and as we move forward, we'll begin the process of presenting in the next month where we are with those funds as it pertains to projects for 2014. So that's my simple report. Pardon me, I didn't get to page 3, which is also very important. The parking policies, Monica and I over the past month have I had reported to the board previously that there were conflicts because of the utilization of Lot R primarily. We have so many good things going on down there, so many special events. We have the bridge building, we have the park, obviously we have Titans games, we have so many things going on. As we have identified that area as being a really crucial area, we're undertaking a process to figure out what are the best policies and practices that we can perhaps implement to ease congestion in that area. So far we've met with many of our stakeholders whom I've listed here, internal stakeholders such as Metro Parks or Public Works, but also the bridge building tenants, the management, people who utilize the downtown partnership and so forth. Had a good conversation with Walter and his team as well about what are the needs currently and going forward. And Monica and I will present to the board either at the next meeting in September or perhaps October what we have found, and hopefully some draft policies that the board can begin to adopt about what are the best uses of Lot R. With that, I will turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. One other thing you've got in there in your report is the board survey. We want the meetings to be as convenient and at the right time for everyone, and so you're going to be getting a questionnaire about the meeting times and the time and the days. So be sure and give that serious consideration and fill it out, because some of us have regular meetings at certain times and some of us don't have them, and some of us are pretty flexible, but we'd like to meet the needs of as many people as possible. So be sure and complete that when you get there.
And Mr. Chairman, if anyone else has something they would like to see on the survey, please, if you'd let me know here before the end of the month, we could add other questions to it. Obviously, we'll be surveying the date and time, but there could be other things that you're interested in, or that you may feel the need to survey the other boards, and we'll conduct that survey and report back to you guys.
Okay. Thank you, Toby. And several things he mentioned, we're going to have a detailed report coming up on our agenda, if you notice. So if you have any questions before we move on the agenda, anybody have a question from Toby? Okay, we're going to the Titans LP Field update, and they run out of paper this month, and so you didn't lose your packet material. You didn't get one.
That's exactly what happened. Good morning, board. Good morning. It's a beautiful day outside.
Yes.
It's a lovely day. To answer the question why you did not receive a packet, Janine, our CFO, was out of town all week, and she did not just have the opportunity to make the packet up. And we've only had one event at the stadium since our last meeting. We will definitely have a full report at our next meeting. And Janine, and of course, you can see I'm all alone. Don is not here. He may be signing autographs for all of his pictures all on the billboard, so he may be. I'm just kidding. But anyway, let me start by talking about our last game, which was last Thursday. We had just under 40,000. And it was interesting because of the fact that that was the first time that we had the opportunity to engage our new bag policy, clear bag policy, let me say that. And that was quite interesting. I believe that I would say more than 90% of the patrons that attended were in compliance. Of course, there are always a few that were not in compliance, and that sometimes will cause a problem. But overall, it was a well-behaved crowd in terms of adhering to our policy. Just to tell you about a couple of instances with our bag policy implementation. As you well know, we've instituted a secondary perimeter where we have CSC is at that perimeter, 2 or 3 CSC people that are out there checking to make sure that those that are coming to the game are bringing a clear bag. Now, there are 3 different options. There is a 12 by 6 by 12, then there's a 1-gallon Ziploc bag, and then there's a clutch bag for all the ladies. And CSC was very careful in trying to make sure that people did not bring that to the secondary perimeter so that it would not get to the gates. Well, one instance where ours just happened to be out there, Don had one gate, I had another gate. We were kind of rotating to make sure that if people had any questions, we could answer it. I just happened to be at a gate where there was a lady that came with a large, clear beach bag. And in that beach bag, of course, she was trying to adhere to the policy because it was clear. But in that beach bag, she had a bag, her purse. So the CSC people would not let her in, but she was wanting to be adamant because she didn't want to go back to the car. And so I came up and I said, "Well, ma'am, can I help you?" She said, "Yes." She said, "I'd like to." She said, "I'm conforming to the policy, but I like to be admitted." And I said, "Well, let me look." So I could see the bag was clear. The big beach bag was clear. But what was in the bag was a Louis Vuitton bag. So she did not want to go back to her car and put the bag in a car or just empty what content she needed into the Ziploc bag. So she said, "Well, can you make an exception this time?" I said, "Man, if I let Louis in, I'm gonna have to let Michael in. I'm gonna have to let Dooney in." Man, I can't. I said, "Now, if you have a medical problem or something like that, we have exceptions for that. You can go to gate 1, gate 5, or gate 7." So that's one of the issues we had with the bag policy. Another one we had was, I guess around midnight, after the game was over and the visiting team had buses had left the stadium, I get a call from the police station that's telling me that there's been a number of reported purse thefts. I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "I haven't heard about that." And I said, "Is that him?" So I hung up. I said, "I'll call you back." So I called our sergeant who does all of our bum searches. And I said, "Gary," I said, "do you know anything about a lot of thefts?" He said, "What?" He said, "No." He said, "What happened is when the women were coming up to the gate, the secondary perimeter, and they figured out that they couldn't get their bag in, they emptied their bag into the Ziploc bags and put their purses in the planters. You know, the planters that we have around the stadium, that's some are full of weeds, some are just dirt, but they're often used as a garbage can. So we ended up having about 15 bags that we put in our lost and found so that those that had reported that their purses were stolen, they could come to our lost and found and pick up their purses. We also had of course, the umbrella policy has been in place for 15 years, and we had, I guess we had over 100 umbrellas that we confiscated that was put in some of the garbage cans or other areas which, we certainly are during this time, we check everything and make sure that there's no explosives that's a part of it. So just some interesting tidbits about what happened at our last game. Our next game is, of course, we're playing in Cincinnati this Saturday.
Walter, one
Yes.
question. Is
Sure.
the policy for the clear bags a national one?
Yes, it's the NFL policy now. And
NFL.
yes, Kim.
Also, is the policy on our website or on the Titans website?
Yes, it is. Mhm.
And do we, have we gotten any
We'll,
questions?
I'm not sure, but we'll.
Because I've had a couple people ask me about it, and so just to know
there.
where to quickly maybe just distribute that information.
Right. Actually, as we speak, and I don't think it has been changed yet, but I know that several other stadiums, there's been a backlash with, people concerned about that, but this is all about public safety.
One other question. What about Stewart parking? Are folks well-versed to help?
Yes, they are part of our pregame meetings.
Handed bags out as well at the entry points if they needed to.
Right, what we did, we bought a lot of Ziploc bags and gave them to CSC people, Stewart Parking, everybody that you could think of before people would get to the gates, and make sure that they receive those Ziploc bags so that they would be in compliance. Okay? Are there any other questions about the bag policy?
I'll say so. I went down there early just to kind of walk around, and I rode with Don to some different gates, saw Walter, and it was largely a seamless process, and there didn't seem to be a lot of disruption. So there were a few instances, of course. Anytime you have 40,000 people, you're going to get some folks that just don't know. But I think it largely went really well.
Yeah, oh yeah. Overall, it was...
And there was a good press conference the week before with the police department and other officials to talk about it as well. So I think the word's getting out there.
The word's getting out, and next Saturday when we have our game here with Atlanta, we hope that we'll make some adjustments. Not sure what they will be right now, because Don and I will talk about it, and just to make sure that everybody's comfortable with what they're doing, and making sure that the fans enjoy the experience at LP Field. As I said, our next game is with Atlanta. Next home game is with Atlanta. Then we'll have the WKU and Kentucky game, which should be quite interesting with the two new coaches. The one that was at Arkansas, and he's now in Western Kentucky, and there's a coach that's coming from University of Florida. So it should be a very interesting game, and we are hoping that it'll be 40 to 50,000 that will be there. Then following that game, which is on a Saturday, TSU's John Merritt Classic will play at LP Field. So we have back-to-back games. That's a fun weekend for me, so I'll look forward to that. Also, I think that we are very much in progress with maintaining our 150-plus consecutive game sellout, which is really extraordinary when you think about today's economic times, that we have been able to sell all of our regular season game tickets since the Titans have been here since 1999. Just to bring you up to date about some other issues that are at the stadium. In preparation for our first game, I would imagine that we probably used close to 100 gallons of paint in order to repair some of our suites, press box, those areas that are subjected to leaks. As you know, we've had a lot of rain the month of July, August. So we worked overtime to make sure that the stadium was in the condition that it should be in to meet those standards that our fans expect. That would be an ongoing problem. As you know, it's a concrete stadium, open air stadium. And where there's concrete, water will find its way in. Hopefully sometime in the near future we can replace some of our worn expansion joints. That's a major cause of it, and hopefully we'll be able to take care of that somewhere down the line and eliminate some of the leaks. We won't eliminate all, but we may eliminate some. Also want to mention that we do have what I've called a few years ago when we had the flood, a displacement of materials, which some may want to say, soil erosion or, some kind of sinkhole. Not that. We are using the term displacement of materials. What's happened is the area that's in front of the stadium office door and next to the storm water pumps is an area which has been troublesome since that time. And we've noticed in the last 4 or 5 months it has sunk about 5 inches, and now we have puddling water there. So we've asked our consulting company, Powell Building Group, to take a look at it and come up with some solutions, because early on after the flood, we put a lot of grout in it, and we thought that had solved the problem, but they took some little machine and went down, and they could see that there was a leak, that water was pouring from around the base of the storm water drain and causing the materials to wash out into the river. So we are looking to find a way to make sure that that problem is taken care of. Of course, if you stop the water there, who knows where the water will come from somewhere else. But in getting an email from Toby the other day about the Department of Water is interested in trying to resolve the problem. So I told Toby that I would get PBG and Department of Water together so that they can find a way to resolve that water problem, that erosion of the area that was caused by the original flood. Are there any other questions?
I have a question. Walter, I, like you, am looking forward to the Classic weekend, and historically, even getting onto the premises and parking has been a huge issue. Given that it's a college game, what additional steps have been taken about this clear bag policy? Because I can't imagine the difficulty of getting these folks through. I mean, I can't imagine that you're not going to need extra bodies. I like that checkpoint idea that you have initially for the Titans game, and I'm sure that that's probably not going to be in effect. So what is being done? That scares me, the whole
Yeah, well, it scares all of us. If you remember homecoming last year, that was certainly a frightening experience. We think that there are some modifications that we can make. I think that if any of you all attended the game last Thursday, you saw that we added an extra fence. And I think that fence, and I'm not absolutely sure, I think that fence will be removed, and we'll have additional CSC people that will do a virtual perimeter as opposed to having a fence perimeter. Because the fence, I've had some calls where people have said, well, it looks like a prison out there. So that's something that we take very serious. So I believe that we will take steps to modify it. The fence may not be down, but by the time TSU game plays, I think that we'll have it down where that new bag policy will be such that they will be able to get in without a lot of problems, because we'll have that same problem with Western and Kentucky. Those are both college games, so they may not look at our website or have heard about the new NFL bag policy. So, there will be exceptions for sure.
So that policy is in effect for all events at the venue, not just the NFL games?
As of right now, yes. The CMAs, that would be in effect. But I'm sure that there would be some modifications to it to accommodate.
Other questions from Walter?
Mr. Chairman, I just think it's a good idea when the NFL is put this policy in over my years going in and out of stadiums. If you act like you know what you're doing, you can get in just about anywhere.
That's right.
A few years ago when we were on strike in the major leagues, when we went back to work, there was a guy standing outside our door that had told security that he was an umpire. And we had never seen this guy before. So I think it's a good idea to have this policy in.
Yes.
Because if you act like you know what you're doing, you can get in just about anywhere.
No. And that's true. That's true. People have been able to talk their way. We discovered people were down in the service level that did not have a credential. How in the world could they have gotten in? But somehow they did. So you're exactly right.
I was happy to see the guy. I didn't think I'd have to work home plate that night.
That wasn't one of those Yankee and Red Sox games, was it?
Oh, no, I try not to work those.
I miss seeing you do that.
Kim?
Hey, Toby, you'll send out the link to everybody. I think it'd just be good to reinforce and remind everybody of the policy, because I've had several people ask me about it. And so maybe even all of our stakeholders. I know everyone should know, but
We'll do that. Yeah, I think that's a good, there's several things we need to update to the website. That's appropriate.
Toby, I'll email it to you,
Yeah.
just so you can have
So
it.
we have the exact link. We can link back to your site or whatnot.
Perfect.
And Ms. Bim mentioned to make sure that we work with the Sports Council so that they are aware of the policy generally, but specifically for the Western Kentucky game that's coming up as well.
Yeah.
So we'll do that and reach out to them.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Walter, very much for that report.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We'll move on. The next item is the annual review of steward transportation, and Brasher is going to make that presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Vice Chair, Madam Secretary, thank you for this opportunity. I would like to first welcome back Ms. Falk-Knotson from her maternity leave. Congratulations on your new addition. I know we're glad to have you back. I'd also like to congratulate Mr. Compton on his new position and mention that working with him has been a real pleasure. We've received nothing but support from him, and we feel that he's a great addition to the Sports Authority. Thank you very much, Mr. Compton. Number one on the agenda today is our obligation to complete an annual third-party audit of our financial statements and disbursements to the Sports Authority. Stewart Parking Solution has selected craft CPAs based on their sound reputation and previous relationships with the Sports Authority, and they have completed several audits with the Nashville Predators. Craft CPAs was founded in 1958 in Nashville and now stands as one of the largest certified public accounting firms in Tennessee. They have 3 offices in Nashville, 7 affiliate companies, and over 150 employees. Approximately 80 of these employees being CPAs. They received the Public Service Award in 2005 for the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and was named one of the best accounting firms to work for by the Accountants Media Group and was acknowledged for this in the Accounting Today magazine. I would like to also introduce Christina Kirby. Christina, you can stand up. Just wave. It's okay.
Welcome,
Christina is
Christina.
a senior manager with Kraft CPAs. She's been with Kraft for over 11 years. I'd like to acknowledge her professionalism and personally thank her for her hard work that she put into this audit. She is here as a resource and can field any questions that the board may have. You should have received packet here. It's the audit provided by Kraft, and your packet's provided by Mr. Compton. You'll see on page 2 is the schedule of revenues and disbursements. Kraft found that we were able to generate $163,207 using our automated equipment on Lot E. We also collected an additional $98,945 in event and other ancillary revenues, bringing our total gross revenues to $262,152. This generated $146,264 for the authority, and I'm proud to announce that this is 25% higher than we originally proposed as our minimum guaranteed rent. On page 4, you will see subsequent disbursements to the Sports Authority. Kraft notes that the share of revenues totaling $9,855 was remitted on June 2013 and is not reflected in the contract year. This amount is a disbursement from the month of May 2013 that was not reconciled until the following month. Kraft simply has to note these items as the audit is based on generally accepted accounting principles, or GAAP. Finally, it was noted that the revenues generated from the parking lot during the Tom King Classic, totaling $2,275, was not recorded in the month in which the event took place, nor was it in the contract year. This was a rental fee that fell through the cracks prior to Mr. Compton being appointed, and while Ms. Faulknotson was on maternity leave. After this was brought to our attention, we collected the revenues from the rental and dispersed $2,275 to the authority on August 5th. I have based the revenue split on 65% going to the authority based on the time that it should have been collected. We hope that this action is considered sufficient by the board, and we assure you that we will be more diligent going forward. Stewart Parking Solutions feels that this report is accurate, and we hope that this shows our dedication to being transparent and having the authority's best interest in mind. At this time, I would like to ask the board if you have any comments or questions for Christina or I.
Any questions? Yes.
I don't know if he can answer this, but how does the revenue compare to that over the prior year?
I cannot answer that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say that might be hard to get because,
The revenue number?
right, because we can have what Central Parking told us, but we could never get a properly
Right.
audited amount from them, which was one of the reasons why we changed. So, it might be, it's an interesting question, but as I recall, we're not getting proper revenue numbers from them.
But we should have the revenue remitted to the authority, shouldn't we? That number.
I'm not sure we ever.
Yeah, we do.
We have something.
Yeah, we have.
We'll discuss it with finance and try to, something was remitted somewhere, so we'll be able to figure something out.
Yeah,
That's a good number to,
Well, I can pretty much assure you that it's going to be more than that.
You base your projections on something. And what was that last year's numbers that are unaudited numbers from?
Projections with the RFP?
Well, you referenced that these
Yes, sir.
final numbers were 25% more than your projections.
Yes, sir.
What did you base your
I am
projections?
referring to our response to the RFP and based on our minimum requirements based on contract.
Okay.
the minimum number being $117,007 that we're guaranteed. So it's 25% above that.
I'm just thinking that number may have come from previous year's numbers.
Oh, yes. And just to state that we were the highest bidder out of the four that presented a proposal. So,
Thank you for that.
you're welcome. Thank you. I would now like to review a list of Sports Authority events that have occurred between December 2012 and May 2013, and since our last presentation. The Rudolph Run, pavement restoration photo shoot, the Color Run twice, once in February and another in April, Cross Point Church Lot E rental, a country music marathon, and various Limelight events. For the Titans, we have managed the last 3 home games, including the Texans, Jets, and Jaguars, the Music City Bowl, women's soccer event, the Good Guys Car Show that spanned over 3 days, and the NFL Draft Party. Some of the events that have happened since May or are on the horizon for 2013 include the CMA Festival, July 4th, 2013 Titan season, 2013 TSU season, University of Kentucky and Western Kentucky, Wine on the River, Color Me Rad, Dragon Boat Race, Zach Brown Festival, Color Run, Music City Bowl, New Year's Eve. And we just found out that Yahoo and Keith Urban have teamed up to present a concert at the water park to promote Keith Urban's new album release. This will take place on September 7th. I would now like to report on the success of the 2013 CMA Festival. Managing the festival last year gave us confidence and enabled us to work with the CMA early in the year to come up with a strategy for 2013. CMA was able to increase the price of their 4-day and single-day passes. We also were able to increase our cash parking from $15 to $20. The paid parking permits had been under the average rate for an event of this size for many years. The returns from this increase should benefit the authority greatly. We also work closely with the Titans to move the stadium, CSC, and center plate employees off campus, freeing up approximately 400 spaces each day for 4-day permits and cash sales. I worked out an agreement with the Sounds to allow these employees to park their employees at their stadium on Thursday and Friday. We were also granted the state parking lots near the farmers market at no charge for Saturday and Sunday. Stewart Transportation and Stewart Parking worked together along with local bus companies to ensure the employees were carried to and from their destination without any problems. We received many positive remarks, and the shuttles operated with resounding success. We should continue the service for many years to come. This year, we were able to increase the parking revenues from $82,538 to $95,890, or 14%. Most of the revenues generated by the cash parking went to operating costs for managing the parking and transportation programs. The real significant increase should come from the 4-day and single-day passes, that not only did they increase the rate per space, but the volume as well. We thoroughly enjoyed working on this event each year. Our crew makes sure that the patrons that have traveled from all over the globe are taken care of. We supply our employees with the information gathered by CMA and the Titans. This information is reviewed and given to them as a pocket guide so they can inform our guests and talk to them with confidence. Oftentimes, we are on the front lines, and we take that very seriously. This is why we educate and train our employees to be knowledgeable and, of course, to begin and end each encounter with a smile.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry going back to your presentation of the audit.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have the number? What percentage of your collections were automated versus cash?
Well, yeah, that was actually my next thing to go into.
I'm sorry. I'll let you go on.
Year one for Lot E, we generated $163,207 on automation. We parked 32,645 cars, which is very impressive. I don't know the exact percentage, but you have 163,000 in automation, 95,000 in event and other ancillary rentals and that sort of thing. So significantly more than 50%. Total revenues, $262,152, and again, an increase over our guaranteed rent of 25%, totaling $146,264.
Okay, thanks.
At the last meeting, I discussed the need to try new technologies and out-of-the-box ideas to collect revenues. Early in 2013, we started researching the ability to accept credit cards during our special events. We teamed up with Bank of America Merchant Services Group and purchased our first mobile credit card reader. This is an example of that reader. This reader attaches to any smartphone that can download their processing application. This application can process credit card transactions and print validated receipts in real time. This function also allows easy batching for verification and auditing purposes. Some of the downfalls of this service are the length of time for each transaction and processing during inclement weather. We will work closely with Bank of America to see that the obstacles are overcome, and we have set a goal to have 15% of our transactions processed by credit card by the end of the year. This concludes my presentation on our first year of operation. This has by far been the most exciting year in my career. I speak for everyone on our team when I say this has truly been a pleasure, working with the Sports Authority and the Tennessee Titans. We take this responsibility serious, and we assure you that we are doing everything in our power to make this a success. This year, our main focus has been on transparency, responsiveness, and to provide your patrons with the highest level of customer service in town. Thank you again for believing in us.
Brasher, I want to thank you for that very good report on parking. We've had problems in the past, but this is a great report, isn't it?
Really is.
To get down into the details. Anybody have a question of Brasher?
Nancy, that number's 62%, just FYI.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
That's good.
Is Christina going to
If you have questions for Christina, she's here.
just bring her up so that if anybody has a question on the audit which you have received? Nice to have you with us representing Kraft in the audit.
Anyone have any questions for us? They were great to work with and
They do our
just very professional, and I would recommend them to anybody. They did a very good job, very thorough, and very nice relationship.
Thank you. Brasher and the whole team was very cooperative and very helpful throughout the whole process, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, no questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got on our agenda a motion just to accept the audit for Stewart.
Second.
Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then approved.
Mr. Chair, could you just note that I didn't press not voting because I have a conflict?
Yeah, okay. We will record that, yes. All right, we're going to move right into the Bridgestone Arena south entrance construction update, and Patrick Holcomb is going to bring us up to date.
Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Good morning.
I hope that's turned enough where all y'all can see the image on the screen. I'm going to flip through some of the slides. You guys have seen this before, but it's a good way to kind of show y'all what we're doing out there. Depending upon how you came in this morning, you may have driven past the corner on 5th on your way to 6th, entering the parking garage, and saw where the demo subcontractor has started on tearing out that plaza. So I'm seeing if this laser will point up there. I believe you can see it on that reflection. But as you can tell in this image, we're completely redoing that plaza, and one of the big steps that we're taking currently is removing all the concrete that's there. That entails the flat work, which would be the sidewalks, the stairs, those retaining walls, and the corresponding footings. Also, if you've had a chance to walk to the concourse, you'll know now there are temporary partitions that have been installed to shield the public from what we're doing behind those walls. One of those big areas that you'll see is where I believe there's some Ford vehicles parked on one of the concourses that's behind the Fifth Avenue restaurant that we put in. There's a temporary wall there that is now Predator's gold color. We did have to educate our painters that it's not yellow, it is in fact gold, and yellow doesn't exist inside of that building. It's all gold. And then also where the pub, which you can see the Predator's logo on this image, and then also back toward the entrance. If you were to walk down that concourse now, where the old first aid station is, that's completely been removed. We're in the process of rebuilding that first aid station so that it is maintained during use. What you'll see next week start to take place, and it's actually probably going to start to shape up a lot more of where the pub entrance is, would be the precast that's underneath that Predator's logo is going to start to get removed to open up into the parking garage. So when you come by, you're really going to start to get the feel of how that plaza is going to open up and how we're going to actually extend the feel of that south entrance and start to open up for what's to come inside of that area. You're also going to see a continuation of the demo out in that plaza, and then also inside internally, both on the restaurant space that you can see on this image on the far right, along with some of the items that are going to go into effect behind the large screen that's in the rehearsal hall. You'll start to see some of that demo and some of that infrastructure come in. Because this is an existing facility, obviously, and what we're doing of changing the use of a lot of these spaces that used to be stores, that used to be parking, that used to be, for instance, a first aid, you're going to see a lot of relocation of utilities, whether that be mechanical piping, electrical piping, plumbing piping. So a large part of the effort that we're doing now is, one, on the demo side, is removing, which you can see when you walk into that room, which is a lot of times you're driving drywall, your paint, your ceilings. And then the next step is how do we relocate those MEP systems but not disrupt service to the building? So you're going to start to see that occurring a lot more next week as the demo is kind of opening that up where we can see exactly what we have. The following week, which will be the week of the 26th, you're going to start to see some of the flat work and foundations and walls start to take place on the hardscape, on that plaza area. So within 2 weeks, you're going to start to see that plaza start to transform a little bit and start moving towards that final product of what it's going to look like. A lot of the push is going to be on that outside one because it's probably the biggest area that we impact, and then also trying to get ahead of where the winter's going to come in. I say winter, late fall, when we start to get a little more of the cooler season, when it's going to take a little longer for that ground to dry out when it does rain. So you're going to see that start to take place as well. This last slide that I believe I showed you guys last time is on the garage portion. You're literally standing what would be across the street at MCC looking down 6th Avenue towards Broadway. Initially in the project, we didn't have mesh on the garage. The idea was it kind of stopped at the plaza. Once we looked at it and evaluated what we were doing, and then also we realized where we were with our budget, we found that we had funds that were available to put this cladding on the garage. So we've worked through final budgets with Bell Clark, the contractor, worked with Populous on the design, Sean and his team. And what we've come to is that we will move forward with this mesh. We actually met yesterday with the head of codes, just kind of a preemptive meeting to make sure they didn't have any issues before we actually resubmit the plans to those guys. So from a permitting standpoint, we have the initial package under permit, which is why you see the construction starting. This additional change, you'll see us have to go back before codes, send it through for approval. And the reason we wanted to go up there yesterday was just to kind of get a gut feel to make sure we weren't heading down the wrong path. They love the idea. Everybody's excited about us. You know, how do we help improve the view of what used to be the back door of the arena and really tying it into what the city's doing with MCC and also just future growth across KVB and into the southern part of town. So it seems everybody's on board with what we're doing. This brings up that, for instance, you guys haven't seen the full effect of what this is going to look like. So next meeting on the 19th, we plan to come back before you with a final design. We're going to bring Populous in. They can talk a lot better about design than I can. They're going to have updated renderings. You're going to be able to see exactly what this is going to look like, and at that point, y'all will be able to approve that final design. I will say, for what you've seen to date, there's really no material difference from what you have. We don't have any zinger we're going to throw out there that's drastically different than what you have seen. But do want to show you guys that so you have that opportunity to, one, look at it and see it and approve it and sign off on it, making sure that there's nothing on there that you guys object to. But at this point, it seems to me moving all forward like we want it to. It's still progressing on the schedule like we want it to, and per budget, it's tracking along. Do you guys have any questions?
The mesh really adds a lot. We would look at a number of the different mesh materials out there, and it's a vast improvement over the chain link, which is between the different levels of the facility. It's really going to change the back.
Thank you, Patrick, and we look forward to the September meeting when we see the final product.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Approval. Okay, we'll move right into the next item on the agenda, which is Sean Henry from the Predators and Bridgestone and Capital Improvements Fund. You've got time to make your presentation, Sean.
Yeah, plenty of time. Good morning. I just want to thank Patrick. You know, we've, over the past 7 months, we've probably had 40 meetings, 30 conference calls.
Seems like it.
And that's all it took for him to convert yellow to gold. So thank you, finally. Oh my gosh. I thought I was going to get fired over this. Brief arena update. As you know, we just closed out the year with June, so we'll be coming forward with the year-end numbers in the next meeting. Really would like to foreshadow it a little bit. Guess what it was for us for a year?
Record.
It was a record year, that's right. Just like the year before was, and we're pretty excited about it. We've done some things that we never did before, never thought we could do in actuality, even though I put out some bold goals, didn't know if we'd be able to hit them, but we far surpassed them. The best news of all is we're looking at the year that we have right now, and we're going to beat last year. You know, we're sitting in August right now, and we already know that. So we're pretty fortunate. Late last night, I sent a report to Toby. You probably didn't get it yet, maybe you did, the venue comparison report.
Yes.
We just put it together. And what that ranks And I hate our peer group, I really do, because we've passed our peer group. But it's important when we look at our venues to look at the Southeast as a whole. Because when we're saying we have a record year and we're growing our attendance, we're growing our number of events, that's tremendous. But if everyone in the Southeast is, it's hard to measure, are we really doing that good of a job, or are we just following everyone else? But I'm pretty excited to report, when you look at that report, there are 2 pages. One is the calendar year, and then one is the fiscal year that started in July. And when you look at it from a fiscal year standpoint, from July forward, and these are for shows that we have announced and or on sale, including the other venues. And we only included the buildings that, the 5 other busiest buildings in the region. There are other buildings, but they don't even rank as high as this. But we have 32 events booked and or on sale. The next busiest is Atlanta. We followed them for many, many years, and they have 26 events. And then the 5th busiest building of that 5-building comparison in the Southeast used to be a great building in Tampa, and they only have 11 events booked. So they got the report last night too, and they were not very happy about it. From a year comparison, we have 84 events, either announced or on sale. And then the next busiest this time is in Miami, again, a building that always beat us historically, for the past 12 of the 15 years that we've been open, and they have 60 events versus our 84. And again, that once great building in Tampa has 45 events booked. So it's absolutely incredible. It's not just that we're doing more because the industry's busier. When you look at events across the country, attendance across the country for events, everything's pretty much flat, maybe up a couple, 2-3%, where we're up dramatically again. So it's really, really exciting. The most important thing is, about 3 years ago, I announced that we're going to use our rehearsal hall a little bit differently, and we're going to use it to really leverage future shows. Instead of looking at that as a business unto itself, we wanted to use that, I don't want to say as a loss leader because it still generates some dollars, but we really wanted to use the venue as a way to lock in other events, future events. And if you remember when we did the Garth Brooks shows, I think we did 9 shows in 6 days. A former board member scoffed at us and said, well, you'll never do that again. That probably hurt you more than helped you. And it was probably one of the first quizzical looks I gave you all. I said, no, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to us, because we're going to sell 9 shows over a 6-day period of time and play 2 hockey games in the middle of that. And it's going to change us as a whole. It's going to change the industry for Nashville, because we're going to show the world that we can sell out 9 shows in 6 days, and we could do that for any show, not just that major event that was a fundraising mechanism by Garth Brooks, but we can do it. And right now we have 3 Taylor Swift shows we're going to play in September. We just announced the 2nd Luke Bryan show. That'll be October 18th and 19th. And I was hoping we could have done it today, but it'll probably be next week or in 2 weeks. We're going to announce 2 more shows that are going to do a double play for us. In the 14 years prior to this coming year, I think we did 3 double plays of shows prior to this. So it's absolutely incredible. And this year, we're going to end up with 4 different shows doing multiple plays in the same year. So it's something we should all be proud of, and you should be proud of yourselves, because it really has been the enriched partnership that we're enjoying that allows us to do this. So it's just a phenomenal year that we're closing up. But more importantly, I'm excited about next year when we can start talking about that. If you have any questions about the arena business at all, I'd love to answer it, obviously. I'd like to brag about records. If not, I'll go to the boring part. Toby teased it in his director's report, the SIF update. We talked about getting together a little bit more often and giving true reconciliation of where we are, what we generated, what our obligations are, more importantly, what will we generate and what can we do with it. Again, we'll do that in great detail in the September meeting. But as Toby said, when you look at where we are, we started the SIF program just about a year ago. And when you look at that, the problem with starting it when we did, twofold. One, we had, about 13 or 14 shows on sale already that obviously didn't enjoy the SIF program. We already had our season tickets, for the most part, sold at about 90% clip at that time, so you didn't have the ability to add that onto it. And then we had that little lockout issue, if you remember, where we lost a few hockey games, so we didn't enjoy it. Somehow we still generated about $1 million, a little over $1 million in SIF funds. What that enables us to do, in theory, is to take down about $5.4 million out of the $10 million umbrella line of credit, if you will, best way to describe it. And out of that, we did countless projects. They're still ongoing right now, from upgrading our suite levels, our club levels, backstage, dressing rooms, guardrails throughout the arena bowls, seating areas, upgrades carpeting where we're sitting right now. That's where we're in this room, not the other one. This is the first one done. We're going through it now. The new phone system that we talked long about. We're in process of the new marquee going up on 5th and Broadway. Just a lot of really exciting things coming out of it. But again, we have about $4.7 million taken down our potential 5.4 right now. We anticipate about $2 million in generation this fiscal year, which will leave us at about $2.7 million, taking down our potential $10 million. By generating $2 million, well, the ability to take down the full $10 million, not that we would, but it does give us about $7.3 million of potential projects. Next month, probably come before you with a small level of projects, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 on the high end. Really a continuation of a lot of things where we are right now. Obviously, Toby and I have talked a few times. We'll get together a lot more between now and then to describe what we want to do. But I also want in that meeting to talk about next year as well, and maybe next summer, which will be in the following fiscal year, what major project we're going to do. Right now, we have the HVAC project wrapping up. We have obviously the excitement of the South project going on. We have all the improvements that we've talked about over the past year. So really, it's transforming the building this year, kind of take this operating year off to a degree, except for some continuation, but then next summer hit a big project again, and then slow down and continue that up and down period where every time someone comes to our building, whether it be a tour or a guest or a partner, they see something different, and that's what our real goal is. It's a 12-month renovation cycle, but some might be as small as murals on the walls, some might be as large as replacing our entire HVAC system. So we're poised in a very good position. It's an exciting process that we put together to keep this building not just with a usable life of X, but a maximum usable life that far exceeds that. And that's where we're sitting right now. Again, I always go back to in 1988, 4 buildings were built at the same time: Miami, Orlando, Charlotte, and the Palace of Auburn Hills outside of Detroit. Charlotte, Miami, and Orlando all closed within 17 years of opening. They all got replaced by buildings that cost about 5 times what that initial construction cost was. And the reason for it is they never put capital into the building. I mean, not at all. When I say no capital, it's very similar to this building's first 12 years with the exception of the new scoreboard. Palace of Auburn Hills, though, put about $2 million a year into their building, year in and year out. Some was just maintenance, some were enhancements, always keeping up with the Joneses, if you will. So when you're competing for national events, you got a leg up to a degree. Every 4 or 5 years, they did a major project and then just maintained that same thing. Palace of Auburn Hills is still open and operating. I know a lot about it. I worked there for 5 years. But 25 years later, it's still one of the most modern buildings in America. And that's what this program will allow us to do with Bridgestone Arena, just continue where we are. So we're in great fashion. If you have any questions about the SIF program, love to answer them. We met with Margaret 3 months ago, I guess it was, to better lay out what the procedures should be, how to best inform you of where we are, what we're taking down, how to do it, and how to go through the, not just approval process of what projects we want to do, but the input process of what you all think we should do as well. So I think we're in good position there, great shape. But again, next month, we'll expand upon that.
Okay, questions?
The HVAC project, is that supposed to wrap this fall?
It's going to wrap up probably September 1st. I don't know if you saw the big crane on the plaza yesterday, the largest crane I've ever seen from a weight load standpoint, lifting the last unit, from the plaza up, through a hole in the roof, dropping it on in. That's why I was so scared about the rain that Walter keeps talking about, but he's right. It's made this summer a little bit difficult for them to operate and bring the equipment in. But that's the last piece that's going in. It's the 4th of the 4 units. 2 of the 4 are operating right now, and it's funny, when we have 1 unit operating, the 1 unit was operating the building better and more efficiently than all 4 of our former units, and that was even without the dehumidifiers kicking in. So great shape there. The lighting controls are about 95% done. All the fixtures have been replaced already. Some of the plumbing efficiencies have been completed already. The last piece will be the final piece, and that's going to be in the rehearsal hall, actually putting in AC equipment into that area that was never put in before. That's why on the south side we always had rental equipment out there, and that's working hand in hand with our south improvements to make sure we're not duplicating what we need to do. So And then one last thing I should touch upon, Toby's been getting a lot of hate mail lately from his friends in Chicago. It was announced that we're doing a program that says keep the red out. We don't want Chicago Blackhawk fans in our building. That's not true. What we want in our building are Predator fans. What we want at the stage that we are right now, a maturation standpoint from a season ticket holder standpoint, now that we've crossed over that 10,000 season ticket holder equivalents, is you have fewer and fewer single game options that are out there. If anyone came to the Blackhawk game last year, you may have noticed there might have been 6 or 7 Blackhawk fans, or maybe 7,000 or 8,000. I think they beat us 1-0, and you didn't know who scored the goal in reality. I mean, it was awful. I mean, you didn't know it was a home game. With that said, thank goodness they have come. Thank goodness they filled up our building. Detroit fans used to do that before. During the Red Wing playoff game, we did a promotion, Keep the Red Out. It was fun. It was unifying our marketplace, not alienating Detroit. And if we do, I don't really care. Toby does. Butch may. But the real key is the success of this organization depends upon our ability to grow our fans in our market through season tickets. And when we are doing single game tickets for certain games, ideally hook those into people that live here to grow and continue to grow. The funny thing is Walter just talked about the streak of sellouts with the Titans. One of the best things going. You can market it, you talk about it, there's civic pride around it. Last year, if you remember, I think we did a 32 straight game sellout streak. This year we hope to have 30 to 35 sellouts this year. The more games we sell out, the more alienation of visiting team fans will be. Now, there are still going to be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 Blackhawk fans at our games. So the media reports that run rampant in Detroit or in Chicago, rather, that Toby's an awful person, and I should continue. I don't want to say what they are. I'll forward you some emails because even I wouldn't suggest this vulgarity in front of this esteemed board. But they're very upset about it. They seem to think that they should be able to get tickets whenever they want to our building. Just not the case. As we're becoming more and more successful, our fans are going to be populating our building more and more. Next year, there won't be 3 games that you can't buy single games to. It might be 10 games, 15 games, 20 games. Our eventual goal is to match Walter's consecutive sellout streak, and you have 41 games where you can't buy single games. The funny thing is Chicago Blackhawk fans are complaining right now, and this is not against Chicago by any stretch of the imagination. It's about us, growing us. But if they want to buy a Chicago Blackhawk game, they have to buy a second game from us. The ticket for that Blackhawk game is about $130, $135 for a lower level seat. The second game they have to add is about $60 for that same seat, so $195. If you could buy a Chicago Blackhawk ticket in that same seat, it's $200 for one game. More importantly, if a Chicago fan wants to see a Blackhawk game in Nashville, they have to buy 2 games. How many games do you think they have to buy in Chicago if they want to see a Chicago Blackhawk game? 41. You have to buy a full season ticket. Not only that, you have to pay $100 to get on our wait list to buy that full season ticket. So I love having their fans here. We all love it. We love filling up the hotel rooms. We love running out of beer on Broadway for their fans, just like we do when the Bears come. But in reality, you're going to see some articles probably be written out of Chicago. We got to concentrate on our market, not anyone else's market. I had a buddy call me from Denver today and said, how'd you do it? How'd you get to this point? Because we want to keep out the Yankees, the Cubs, the Red Wings, Blackhawks. I started laughing. I said, just sell tickets. That's all you have to do. So if you see anything that's out there, this is not us trying to hurt visitors coming to the city by any stretch of the imagination. We're going to have thousands of fans come. They're going to have a great time, and they're going to be treated to our hospitality collectively. So we're not worried about it, but I don't want anyone to be taken off guard because Toby and I talked last night. Normally we talk about SIF or South projects or personnel. What were we talking about last night? Chicago. Would you like to share some of the nasty things said to you or no? Yeah. In my second life, I'm going to become a grammar teacher and go to Chicago and teach them how to write. But I'm not taking a knock on him, by the way.
Toby can take those shots.
He can. Actually, his response was very good. And then when he got the response back, his response was still very good. I was very impressed with it.
I think my wife wants to talk to that lady.
So, no, but thanks for the opportunity. If you have any questions about where we are, what we're doing.
Any other questions? Anybody have a question? Thank you, Sean. It's always good to have a positive report like you have just given to us. And
it'll always be positive, no matter what the facts are.
Right. So. Thank you, and thank you for hosting us. And let me just remind our members, glad you're here today. And you heard several things that we're going to have full reports in September. So September is going to be a little more action-oriented meeting, and we need you here. And we'll wish you, as we adjourn the meeting today, anybody want to make that motion?
So move.
Made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. You adjourn. Thank you for coming.